with your host, Cosmon Cal.
What up, though, family? Love, life, balance out there. Everybody, just checking in. Late night hyping. What y'all got going on, man? Big homie, just checking in real quick. I ain't want nothing for real. I was just looking at some stuff online. You dig what I'm saying? It's a lot of interesting things going on in the world right now. You dig what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? It's just a lot. You know what I mean? If you've been hip watching the news, the Pacific Ring of Fire is going crazy right now. Man, may the creator keep watching over them people in them areas, man, because, them volcanoes is going crazy. You know what I mean? And I just think that's a sign of the tightening of the cyclic coil and showing the change that's about to be produced upon the planet. Also, I think a lot of this seismic activity is going to expose stuff on the bottom of the Pacific, and is going to lead to the uncovering of Pan. Man, thumb up the video as you come in. You dig what I'm talking about? Share the live out. I just popped on. I kind of wanted to just see if the algorithm would still rock with me. You dig what I'm talking about? Which it ain't never really did, but I ain't complaining. You dig what I'm talking about? So, anyways, man, I had some interesting stuff. You dig what I'm talking about? Anybody want to come in? I'll drop the link real quick. We'll just play a couple joints real quick. You dig what I'm talking about? Let the people file in. You dig what I'm saying? And we can get the proceedings proceeding in this evening. You dig what I'm talking about? It's just so much interesting stuff. Like, I want to show y'all this information. Man, they may have actually found an iron. They found I'm gonna show you. They found a man in these salt mines over in Iran or something like that. And hey, for everything that they describe an iron as being little, you dig what I'm talking about? Having white and yellow hair, irregardless of skin color, you dig what I'm talking about? Even though some of them may have white and yellow skin, but they showing that these people are little people, and many of them are pale or melanated people with blonde hair. You dig what I'm talking about? So interesting that they found these people. You dig what I'm talking about? I think it's amazing that, you dig what I'm saying, that when you start to get new information, and then information or science goes on to, start to add to, the new thing that you learn. You dig what I'm talking about? And then come to find out, many of these things have already been found a long time ago. They just being reclassified as something else. You dig what I'm talking about? They just being reclassified. You dig what I'm talking about? Not understanding that the stock that this comes from is so old. You know what I mean? This would have even been your mound builder stock. But just like they say, Ahuans come in every shape, color, and form, fashion, and spiritual level. So do Ayans. They come in every shape, form too. Remember, Ayan just means I get it. I can get it. Right? I have spiritual ability, hence able. Right? In the Bible. Right? I kind of just want to just jump into it because I know y'all don't know what the hell I'm talking about. You did what I'm talking about. Shout out to Mystery History. You did what I'm talking about for bringing that stuff out to the forefront. You know what I mean? Because a lot of this stuff, science doesn't know what to do with it. It's totally out of place. You did what I'm saying? They got a term for it. It's called part. Okay, go. What it do? Judah Vaughn, Ray and Shay, Soul Bender. Shalom, man. Peace. Love, light, balance out there to everybody. You dig what I'm talking about? Thumb up the video as you come in, man. We're just gonna rock out for a minute and then I'll jump into the video. You dig what I'm saying? Let's get some of this Contra real quick, man. Well, actually, let's play my joint real quick. Hold on, let's play my joint. Let me mute this. Let me play my joint real quick, y'all. Let's go. Let's start it off right.
Jehovah is as near this day as in the time of the ancients. Put yourself in order, becoming one with him. And no book is so easily read as his created universe. Inspiration comes less by books than by what Jehovah wrote. His worlds read him and his works. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. He will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great wisdom cannot be attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation, till the growth is from the foundation. The fool will say, the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge could write. Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of your God. Let him do this well, and behold, he will also declare my words are from me. Yes, he will recognize them wherever found. It is the will and wish of your God that all men become constitutionally capable of receiving and comprehending the highest life, and that they shall no longer depend upon any priest, church, oracle, holy book, or upon consulting the spirits, and that their behavior may make the earth a place of peace, with long life to all people, for the glory of Jehovah. To his Etherian gods and goddesses, Jehovah said, as you have founded arcs of light in my Etherian heavens, to determine the travel of my corporeal worlds. So shall my God of the earth inspire mortals to build lighthouses for man's ships that travel on the oceans, and those who travel in the ships. And those on the land shall know when a ship nears the port, even as you see my traveling earth approaching the place of Cosmin. For this shall be an illustration to mortals, that I have appointed cycles of times and dawns of times, with gods and goddesses to superintend my creations in tenderness and love. Lest by chance man becomes despondent, saying, alas, Jehovah did not provide in wisdom commensurate with the magnificence of his creations. Behold, the time draws near when the nations of the earth shall course around the whole earth in ships, crossing the seas and oceans to all the places I created.
Yeah, I feel good right now. The atmospheric, green skies, the gang coming. I be in and out, so leave that thing running. Purified is preferred. Higher frequency, a higher bird. I observe on a different nerve. Breaking codes, I am the yoga. Deadly as a Ruger, straight and a shooter. Out the holster with this mudra, inoculation with the wisdom. Creator shape my prism and hit them with no schisms. Perfect. Reason turn the light up. Y'all disappointing like 9 to 5 and some write-ups. Something rearranged, let that boy cook. Organization 33, stay up in them books. Lead them boys shook. 46 divided, yeah, I'm Fort Michael. It was only rightful that I came up in this cycle. They say they gangsters, but they telling me. Step outside, take off my shoes, and let the sun hit my melon, Had to be learned that the herb beat the medicine. It's the same matrix, so who you think you better than? Perfect.
Creator Gang is undefeated. Creator Gang is undefeated. Know that. Know that. They not like us. Separate the real from the fake is a must. We stand on Creator and no God we trust. Team Kemet got crushed into powder and dust. Woo! Kemet looking bad now. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many men down? Look at us all running, ducking, trying to skip town. Now power one it in. You Hebrew, what you Kemet now? Siding with the people that enslaved your own people now? Chop you up into pieces and throw you in the river now. Bet you right beside you, get ate by Kemetic crocodile. Look, we got them running, covering square miles. Scared to death, what's left? Only to take the crown. Get smashed down on your own stomping ground. We took over like the Hicksons on your turf doing a disco. 2-stepping, no half-stepping with the info. You wouldn't even know the book of the dead, bro, if it wasn't for the translation done by my sparrow. Your time's narrow, semi-missiles blow out your arch arrows. Arches down, so goes the pharaoh. I saw him reading the glyphs like he an expert. But where he learned that from? This about to hurt. First translation came from Samuel Birch. European Egyptology gave you it first. You couldn't translate a bird to a word without looking up them European definition verbs. Y'all niggas acting like y'all blackity black. Fronting to the people, man, y'all niggas actually whack. Your pathetic Kemetic creation meant there's a trap. The blind leading the blind with no actual facts. Shabario Saze, you softer than Sade. Come to find out he followed Yahweh. That was your execution. You par Rosicrucian. Western thought you using. You are quite confusing. Don't know what you doing. How my eye got you moving. Right now you are losing. At your wake I'm viewing. R.I.P. communion. Mummy wrapped in ruin. OSP is ruling. Science has been proven. All motion moving. You live in an illusion. Who you think you fooling? Think you need some schooling. It's like Reggie out here living in a ghost town. Walking around like I see dead people around. I don't believe in spirits, but I believe them now. Stuttering Stanley, you can have a seat now.
Stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley.
Freak Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods. Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated. And it's gonna remain that way. And it's gonna remain that way.
Shoo! En dat track I'm set.
En dat track Unbed Het.
Shoo! En dat track I'm set.
Track Ast.
Nuke
Ast.
Ast. Shoo!
Nuke I'm set. Track Ast.
En dat track I'm set.
Nuke
Nuke
Ast.
Ast. Shoo!
En dat track Unbed Het.
Shoo!
Nuke
Shoo!
Yeah.
Jason Nero put the record out.
Creator gang coming, creator gang coming. Turning up the light and watching boys start running. Let me tell you something, we ain't out here doing nothing. I can tell you scared, boy, niggas stop fronting. It was all in the plan, comprehension, understand. Breaking boys off like creator did the plan. Cooler than the band, who you fooling, man? We be tearing shit up like we're taping some bands. Conscious community, yeah, we in demand. They hunger for the truth, debate or the booth, sourcing up with the proof. Hey, you on the tooth, catch me in the candy painted aquafine coupe. Step in my boots while I'm knocking mines loose. You be the cobra, I be the mongoose. Plant base in my suit, meditate on my fruit. Red Star training, who let the gods loose?
All right. It's your hostess with the most, just holding that fire like a roach, cut your noggin, your nerve, fresh up off of that curve, jelly chemical reserve, man. Hey, just with some late night hype, man. I ain't really I ain't wanna go too heavy, but I wanted to show y'all some of this stuff that they finding out here in the world, you dig what I'm saying, to prove some of the stuff that Owaspi is saying. And listen, bro, this is amazing. Okay, first of all, I wanted to get in. No, secondly, firstly, I'm gonna get into the ions, right? But then I'm gonna go back and shout out to Mystery History. You dig what I'm talking about? But Cosmon K, I told you first. Remember, the ions are the very first upright thinking men on the planet, right? Ion, in a sense, really means I get it, or I'm spiritually able. You know what I mean? I have the ability to learn. And they say there were older people groups than our current stock, right? Which started with what Owaspi say is these upright thinking men that we go on to call today ions, and also mound builders. It's the same stock, right? But Owaspi says there's something weird about these people, because even though they have quote unquote, and I hate to use this word because I beat up a person last night using this Negro term, when they couldn't explain what a Negro was. And that I asked them a simple question: what phenotype isn't Negroidal? You know what I mean? So, you know, I didn't mean to beat my boy Smoke up like that last night, but he was asking for it. And but in the end of the day, right? Negroido is a prejudiced, racist, scientific term that is debunked, and has no basis in biology whatsoever. If every physical phenotype can be negroidal, well, then what's a Negro? If blonde hairs and blue eyes ain't just in one people group, well, then what are we talking about? What if quote unquote Negroes produce that too? Then what are we talking about? We talking about bias, racism, a lack of knowledge, and subjective belief at that point. You dig what I'm saying? But anyways, how they describe the Ayans being little short people, right? Many of them heavily melanated. This is just a general idea, right? Because even if they had white skin and white hair, you dig what I'm talking about? They were still niggas, right? Just like a albino don't mystically turn into a European white man, right? Just because he, is birthed with light skin. No, his ethnicity doesn't change because his color changed, right? So it's simple. You dig what I'm saying? But they're finding proof of what they saying in Owaspy, which is crazy. I just want to play it real quick, and then we'll go back and show that the oldest pyramid on Earth, found on the Earth, period. Guess where it's at, y'all? It's in North Dakota. It's crazy. We're gonna go back and show that too. You dig what I'm saying? But watch this, man. We'll get into a little of this info, right? Watch what they finding. You know what? I'll be even back it up just a little bit, right? Because I want to show y'all that they found this frog in solid rock that had been quarried from like 300 feet down. Watch this.
64. Within the True Democrat of Lewistown, Mifflin County, also in Pennsylvania, found under the heading A Wonderful Discovery. It details a find made at Rolling Mill of Wood Morrell and Company, Cambria County. While workers were laying foundations for a new business whilst using a large piece of sandstone, a frog appeared from the slab once it cut in two. Quote, pressed as flat as a cent, and lying in a crevice in the stone, a reptile which was plump, and when it fell out, appeared to be blind. The stone had been quarried from spurs of Laurel Hill some 30 years previously. End quote. Such finds simply cannot be explained away as natural or historical anomalies. Yet, such incredible discoveries continue to be ignored en masse. With many reports, credible discoveries away as natural or historical.
Did y'all see that right there? Dig that. Hold on, let me move this out the way real quick. Iron Mask. These is an iron mask found in a coal mine. Said to be 100 million years old. 100 million years old? I don't know. I think man is very old, but 100? I'm not sure. But using the Cosmon theory of rational carbon dating, even this makes sense. Interesting.
Anomalies. Yet, such incredible discoveries continue to be ignored en masse. With many reports over the past century alone of living creatures somehow being found entombed, seemingly frozen in time for untold millennia, yet upon resurfacing into the world, appear completely unchanged. Yet there are other finds which, although not preserved in an inexplicable living state, thanks to the locations in which they met their untimely demise, no less astonishingly preserved as that of our fellow amphibians. And our next items of interest are of no exception. In the winter of 1993, in the Cheribad Salt...
Now, this is where I want y'all to pay attention, right? This is where we're going to get into this iron presence, or these little people. These little people, right? With these negroidal features, quote unquote, but with this blonde hair, right? And notice he's going to be encased in a mountain. Interesting, right? I just want y'all to take note. This is where we at. I'll back it up 2 seconds and we'll start right here.
Are of no exception. In the winter of 1993, in the Cheribad salt mines, south of Hamzelu village, on the western side of the city of Zanjan, within Iran, miners would stumble upon an ancient human, perfectly preserved with long hair, beard, and in possession of an enormous array of compelling artifacts. These included leather boots, iron knives, woolen half trousers, a silver needle,
Look at that. Who is these people? Right? Where you get a story that describes somebody that looked like that?
Of 1993, in the Cheribad salt mines, south of Hamzelu village, on the western side of the city of Zanjan, within Iran, miners would stumble upon an ancient human, perfectly preserved with long hair, beard, and in possession of an enormous array of compelling artifacts. These included leather boots, iron knives, woolen half trousers, a silver needle, a sling, parts of a leather rope, a grindstone, a walnut, some pottery shards, and varying patterned textile fragments. Discovered within the middle of a man-made ancient tunnel carved into the salt deposit of approximately 45 meters in length, it wouldn't be long before individuals funded by numerous mainstream academic institutes would eagerly volunteer their services in investigating and indeed dating the finds. In 2000,
look how small the head is. That's probably big as your hand, if that. You dig what I'm talking about? Look at this very small size. Look at the negroidal features, right? You can even see he got brown skin, but look at the hair. Huh?
In 2004, the remains of a second man, and then in 2005, 2 more, along with a female, were discovered. In 2006, the Iranian...
Notice how small he is. This man can't be but 2.5, 3 feet tall, if that. He's extremely small. Right? Look at him. That's an iron, bro. There ain't nobody in the world that's described like that. And then let this sink in. These is reckoned some of the oldest people in the world. And this guy would probably be better than 70. His people group, right, would have been better than 70,000 years, 73,000 years. He has the possibility of going back to a long time. These is the guys they said build the mound. Huh? A nigga with blonde hair. Let it sink in. It's simple that Negroes come in every phenotype. Right? Every phenotype. Every single one. But they're saying these are some of the oldest. We'll go back just a little bit. We'll run it back. Look, I ain't making this up. They say they get down to some of these as young as 3,000 years old. 1100 or so 100 BC. A bell should be going off right. If you know the timetables of prophecy, and I'm telling you, around 1100 BC, something happens. And these people go extinct. And then they tie this man to roughly that same time. Bing, 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 bing. Notice how little he is. And they found more than one of them.
The remains of a second man, and then in 2005, 2 more, along with a female, were discovered. In 2006, the Iranian Cultural Heritage Agency, the German Mining Museum, the University of Oxford, and the Swiss University of Zurich would join forces for a thorough investigation of the discovery, starting a scientific long-term project, which was academically supported and funded by Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft, or DFG, and also numerous British funds. After archaeological studies, which included C14 datings of different samples of bones and textiles, the Saltman was dated to about 1,700 years ago. However, the officially disclosed dates do indeed vary by some 200 to 300 years apart from each other, although they all clearly from the same group. Thus, their true possible age, due to the advanced artifacts found, could perhaps be far older than is being claimed. Additionally, and rather
Look, this is the picture I wanted to show you. Look how little he is. This is one of them guys found way up under the ground. First of all, what is he doing under the ground? In a mountain. Off a coal vein. It's a little fella, y'all. He probably don't come up to your hip. He's about as big as a child. Maybe 5. Interesting. They finding these people just like Owaspi said you would. It's crazy.
Possibly supporting such a conspiracy. By 2008, the mine was abruptly shut down, and any further permittance to explore or even mine the area now continually forbidden and denied. There could, of course, be many more preserved bodies, and indeed, controversial artifacts present within the ancient salt mine. Yet, it also equally as possible, this denial of further investigations made to allow for covert exploration of the...
See how little he is? Go back and look at this head. See how little it is? It's about as big as a child's head. Look at them cheekbones. Look at them nose. Clearly a nigga. He's an odd looking one, ain't he? Or is he? What if this trait to produce blonde hair, and you dig what I'm talking about, is a recessive trait, right? But what if it was so old, right, that this trait is so old that all people groups produce people with blonde hair and or produce people with albinism. And I'm not saying that Ayans were albinos. I'm not saying that. But albinism, as in a skin, the ability to produce it from melanated people, right, is the closest to what pure Ayan stock would be, how you would be Negroido with white or blonde yellow hair and still be regular without being European, so-called, right? That's best expressed on Earth today through albinism. So we show that picture, but we're not saying that Ayans had albinism. No, they just had lighter skin tones. But also we know, because the texts tell us, that Ayans came in every single color. They would just primarily had this white and yellow hair, but they were still niggas, as you see. Look at the face. Just is what it is. We got to get out of the paradigm and stop letting other people tell you who your history is and figure it out for yourself.
Possible, this denial of further investigations made to allow for covert exploration of these possible pre-flood peoples, and indeed the complete seizure and suppression of any further artifacts and remains by...
Did you hear what he said? He said these people are pre-flood, right? That the people are pre-flood. The only people who survived the floods were who, y'all? Huh? Only the Ayans. Huh? So this shouldn't be shocking at all. When was the floods? 24,000 years ago. Changes everything when you can put it on the timeline.
Suppression of any further artifacts and remains by a certain institute whom shall remain unnamed. Who were the Sultan of Iran? Just how old could they be? Are the artifacts which they were found with
proof of
ancient man's advanced knowledge and abilities?
Nike Air,
particularly in regards to metallurgy. Were they part of a now lost yet pre-flood?
Look, he got brown hair. He's still an Ayan. Same people, bro. Huh? Was a highly civilized people. So this is why he got all these tools. Earrings, huh? Cape, a tunic, 2 vessels, belt, trousers, shoes. And I'm saying this ancient, he's old. He's very old. Right? This guy's very old.
Just how old could they be? Are the artifacts which they were found with proof of ancient man's advanced knowledge and abilities, particularly in regards to metallurgy? Were they part of a now lost yet pre-flood civilization? With perhaps the biggest mystery still unanswered surrounding the Saltmen. Why were they here in the first place?
That little itty bitty thing. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm not tripping. It's still a man. But look at that little thing. That look odd. This is not what we see commonly today. If you've seen one of these people looking like this, you dig what I'm talking about, you will bug out. You dig what I'm saying? Like, dang, you'd be like, what the? You know what I mean? But you got to understand, these people, right, in their time would have been perfect for their time, just like you were perfect for your time. The thing is, they tried to say the ancients was these dumb niggas, these niggas that didn't know nothing. But guess what? Right, hold on. Let me show you something. Right? To get a belt, right, out of leather, you got to know how to tan, hide, hunt. You got to have a myriad of skills. So all this stuff, latch, put all these things together. Just science is just to have a belt. Same with trousers. The same with shoes. But look, he's got 2 iron vessels with him. That means you know how to do metalworking and smithing, but more importantly than that, you know how to mine the metals. You know where to go get them, obviously. And then the most important, you know that they're there. Who told you that? These ain't no slow people. These are not backwood hunter-gatherers. You know what I mean? That don't know anything. Some Ungabugas. These not Ungabugas. You got a tunic. It got to be sold, stitched and put together. He's got a cape. Right? He's got a knife in a sheath. He's got earrings, so he's fashionable. You dig what I'm saying? Peace.
Yeah, what's up, Cosmon?
What up, though? Who is this?
Jose, brother Jose.
What up, brother Jose?
I missed what you were talking about, but this looks very interesting. I just woke up and I said, let me jump on and see because it looks very interesting.
Yeah, they were showing about these people that they found in these mountains in Iran, encased in stone in Iran. And they are these little people with blonde hair who live in structures in the ground and are reckoned to be some of the oldest people of pre-flood people. Now, the only text that I've ever heard in my life that ever speaks about these people and talks on them clearly is Owaspy. So it's just crazy that, you know, what it's saying is now being proven in real time. Because this is nuts. Hold on one second. Let me show you the little itty bitty guy. First of all, he's little.
Now let me not to be fair. You know this is not the first time we've spoken, right?
Okay.
You wouldn't remember.
Yeah, I mean, no offense, brother. You know what I mean? No offense, man. I deal with a lot of people daily. You dig what I'm talking about? So no offense. You dig what I'm talking about? I hope we had a good conversation. You know what I mean?
It was a little kind of, you know, adversary because I'm not necessarily an Owaspy advocate, but it's probably a good thing that you don't remember. I'll just say this: I'm gonna reserve my comments on what you're saying until I go back and look at the video because I didn't look at the video to see what's the context of what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about the irons.
All right.
But you don't read Owaspy and you don't like Owaspy, so you ain't gonna really kind of understand what I'm showing until you get into it. But You dig one? There is. We stay loaded over here. We gotta hold on 1 second. Let me stop this. Bring this up. Where you from, Jose?
Well, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, but I'm living in Trinidad and Tobago right now.
You from New York? Your mom and your daddy born, and your great grandmama and them born in New York?
No.
Where they from?
One of my parents is Jamaican, and one is from Belize.
One is Congolese.
From Belize.
Oh, Belize. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could hear the accent. The accent is strong. I was like, that ain't no New York accent.
I've been here for 20 years, so the accent definitely changed.
Yeah. You gonna kind of sound like who you around.
Yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is go back and look at the video and reserve my comments, and maybe the next time you're on, I'll come on and make some comments on this.
I mean, go ahead. I mean, you can say what you want to say, bro. I don't. You dig what I'm talking about? I don't duck no smoke. If that's what you're saying, you came up here with some smoke.
No. I'm being fair because I didn't see the whole presentation, and I don't want to just jump out here and say I disagree with you based on not disagreeing with the book. Because if I watch the whole video, I might actually agree that it makes sense. So let me be fair and watch the whole video. So this way, if I do come back on and I make a comment, I'm making comments based on the presentation that you put forth, not what I said. Because I'm not one to say, I don't, I think it's unfair when people put forth presentations and you just come and say something based on nothing. So at least let me watch the presentation, and then I could say something based on your presentation, even if I don't put forth one.
Well,
I might agree with you.
Right. Well, the dope part about what I'm doing is my whole thing is to be objective. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm not talking about something I can't point at.
Well, let's be honest, Kyle. Once we have something that we are pushing forward, we're never really objective.
Wrong.
We're really totally 100% objective.
You're absolutely wrong. And as a matter of fact, in my text, my spiritual text by itself calls my style objective spiritualism. It don't got nothing to do with belief.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So everything that I'm talking about, not only am I talking about it because I understand it, but I can show you why I'm saying what I'm saying, and then turn around and point at it. Because usually, when you're objective, you have something there that you can base your subjective opinion about it on. But the thing that I'm talking about is objective. It's objective that the oldest people in the world tend to be what are called little people. It's objective that NOWASP it speaks on these people and gives a very specific weird trait about these people. They're negroidal, but they still have white hair.
Well, I'll say this. It's definitely a fact that the Twa people are among the oldest people on the planet. So
those are facts.
I would argue with you there.
Those are facts. You dig what I'm talking about? And it's generally recognized by people who are looking into archaeology and things like that. You dig what I'm talking about? Paleontology and different people groups. You dig what I'm talking about? So hold on, let me blow this up real quick so I can.
Because now the only objection I might have is when I read the book, then I'm going to say, well, the book is this, the book is that, and I'm going to critique.
Yeah. You can, but it's objective. You can make that decision all on your own, brother. Nobody's trying to convince you. I'm saying it's saying it, and it's the only source in the world that's saying it, and now science is proving it. It's amazing to me.
Okay, I'm once again, I'm going to leave that there based on my lack of seeing the presentation and my lack of actually studying the particular text and the particular section that you're talking about. Even though you might have shown it earlier, I didn't see it. So I'm not
Okay.
going to jump on here and say I want smoke or I don't want smoke. That's
No. Well,
that's
let's build.
unfair.
Well,
That's
build with me
unfair.
real quick. Build with me real quick, right? Because we can look at what the books say. I got whole docs and information and stuff, boy. I can just rattle stuff off all day, right? But to get a little understanding before you even delve off into the text, and specifically what we would show you in the text, you dig what I'm talking about? We can just go right here, right to the doc. Can you see that, bro?
Yes.
Hold on. Now, when I do this, tell me, can you see it? Can you still see it?
Yes, I see it very big and very clear.
Okay. I was just making sure because I'm on a whole nother screen.
Yeah.
Right. So I can't see the live. It says ions, right? The white and yellow people. Ion is Asu, or early Adamite hominins mixed with angelic beings, create an ion, or what the biblical narrative calls Abel, or men with spiritual ability, the wise thinking man, scientifically called the Homo sapiens sapien, the first men with any spiritual ability on the earth, commonly misnomered in the Bible as Abel, right? Now, Asu, or Adam, right, is described in Owaspi like this. First man, the first race of man did not walk upright. That's what it also says also, right? Now, I'm not saying it looked like exactly like this, but the depiction and how it's described, this is the early Homo florensis type hominin. You dig what I'm talking about? They're saying Adam looked more like that, right? Not saying that that's true, right? But look, they saying they mix with angelic beings, spirit man or woman, correct? Now, in the book of Jehovah, it says, and I said, go forth and partake of all that is on the earth, but do not partake of the tree of life, which is sex. He told this to the 27 million angelic beings that came down to the earth when these ions were about to be created to raise man up, right? We get these stories everywhere, right? So, but they were told to not partake of the tree of life. That's even told in biblical text. But what is the tree of life? Tree of life is sex. Lest you what? In that labor become procreators. They're talking to angelic beings who had died as infants on whole other planets, who had never had physical lives. So to be a true God or to rise up higher, you got to be able to have physical knowledge and spiritual knowledge. So like they said, many of these babies had, or people had died as infants and never lived a physical life. Spiritually, they're huge. They're monsters. They're high raised. You dig what I'm talking about? All that. But physically, you got to understand how far you are behind if you had never been hungry. You don't know what it feels like to ever scrape your knee or to be disappointed.
I'll say.
You dig what I'm saying?
I'll say this. These passages sound very much like the Bible. They sound very biblical. That's what I'll say.
Well, Owaspi is in a sense a Bible. A Bible is just a collection of books put together.
Well, let me be more specific. It sounds a lot like the Christian Bible. Let me be specific.
Well, it's cool because it should. Guess what? Because since man has been talking, since you wanted to bring that up, since man has been talking, there has been a persistent appearance of stories across ancient cultures from the earliest writings found on earth, period. And why you think it sounds like Bible, is because in the book of Genesis, it specifically mentions the sons of God, or Benah Elohim, saw that the daughters of men were fair and took them as wives that they chose. That's the only story you really know, other than if you know the Epic of Gilgamesh or the Atrahasis or the as a matter of fact, every religious text.
I'll say this: these books, to me, are generally regarded as non-historical religious books. So anything anything I read in the Bible mostly is not historical.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the Bible. We talking about Owaspy.
Well, once again, I have to reserve my comments because I've never read.
Right, we talking about Owaspy.
I've never read the book thoroughly. So
because all this mixed up understanding that comes from the religious text, Owaspy is clearing it up. It's decoding it. This is why you have it in what I'm saying is, since man first began to write, would you agree with this? Since man began to verse write, right? The very first stories he was telling was about angelic beings coming down from the heavens. Would you agree?
I'm gonna say every culture has stories like that. I don't
listen to what I'm saying. I'm not asking if every culture has it. I'm saying since man began to write books, right? Since he first started penning stories, the very first stories and books ever in the world, they have the theme of angels in them coming down from heaven and interbreeding with man. Is that true or false?
I'm gonna disagree because some of the oldest.
You're wrong.
But hold on. Let me explain why I would disagree, right? Because
it don't matter why you would disagree, because look, here go one of the oldest texts in the world right here. Don't matter why you disagree, it's just wrong. Right? The Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest story in the world. And guess what? It has a story about an angelic being coming down from the heavens and interbreeding with man, and actually even creating Gilgamesh himself.
Oh, all right, okay.
Okay, so if you didn't know that, let your brother school you on some stuff. So you did what I'm talking about. How do you have what I'm trying to get at? You obviously came up here with some type of hidden agenda because you thinking you did what I'm talking about.
No, I did not. I really found what you're saying was interesting, and I want to comment on it. I really didn't come up here to argue or fight.
Okay. Well, let's check this out. Let's dig a little further, right? Because since we went off topic, but it's right on my topic, we'll go back, right, to these angelic beings coming down to earth. Creator says that really happened. So it makes sense why the very first stories about creation speak about angelic beings coming down from the heavens. Just makes sense now. Right? But it says, don't partake of the tree of life or have sex with these people you coming to raise up. Or unless you're going to become procreators and as if dead to the heavens you came from. But those who had never learned corporeal things or earthly things, being imperfect in wisdom, did not understand the Creator's words. And they dwelt or lived with the Asuans, who would be your early Adamites, right? Your hominins, right? And they were tempted. Who were tempted? These people of imperfect wisdom that it came down, took up on semblances of flesh, called the sons of God. Why? Because they came with the very first God. This is what the stories say. And were tempted and partook of the fruit of the tree of life, or that means they had sex. And lo and behold, they saw their nakedness or their progeny. Right? That's what that means. Even in the story, when you see their nakedness, they're seeing their children. They're watching their children be born naked. And there was born of the first race, Asu, or the Adamites, a new race, which is called man, right? Which is like me and you. And the Creator took the earth out of the travail of Simu, or from the travel of creation, and the angels gave up their corporeal bodies. Now, this new race right here, it says right here, this new race called man, 92, this new race of man was also called Ayin. Look what they look like. This is what they're described as. So when you go back and you watch the video and you see that they finding these people anciently, and these are your ancient mound builder stock, that they're finding these people everywhere over the world. And like I said, now, if you're a spiritual person, the ideal of people descending from the heavens and intermixing with humankind shouldn't be too far of a stretch, especially since the oldest text on earth,
Yeah, but
are the first, right? The oldest texts on earth are the first to approach the theme of angels interbreeding with early humans. Go ahead, bro.
But you do know, according to academia, they don't consider those stories historical. They consider those mythological texts.
Well, I believe that the stories in the Bible are mythological too, but we're not talking about Bible.
Right, but that particular text that you're talking about is considered a mythological text.
It's not.
It's not.
How is it mythological? Listen, myths become truths every day. Agreed?
But agree, but listen to what I'm saying to you. That
Okay.
particular story is not considered by scholars to be something historical.
Well, I'm a scholar. Yeah, I would disagree, because I'm a scholar and I'm reading the story and I'm doing the background and the research, and it just keeps popping up to show itself approved. Right? Now listen, I'm showing you why. Listen, bro, this is why I showed the video. Right? This is the information Owaspy is bringing out to show why I showed the video, that these people are real and they're finding their bodies. These little people, they call them Ayins in Owaspy. Huh? The very first thinking upright men like me and you. They saying some of them have blonde hair, irregardless of their skin color. Now, the inhabitation, this is the Lord's first book, the book of the first Lords, right? 2 and 1. It says the time of the habitation of Asu, or the Adamites, was 8,000 years, and they survived 2,000 years after the time of the birth of the Ayins, right? Which is to say, Asu, or Adam, the man wholly from earth, dwelt on earth 6,000 years and then conceived the chosen of God, and after that survived 2,000 years more. Don't that sound just like what they say in Genesis 6?
It sure does.
It does. What I'm trying to tell you is there was a story older than that, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, all them stories, and then there's even older text, and then there's truth.
Well, listen, I'm not disagreeing that they are older texts. My disagreement is that in academia, they don't consider those texts to be historical accounts.
Well, you
That's
would
my
need to
argument.
look. Yeah, I'm not debating that. We agree on that. They agreed that those stories, right? Those stories are not historical accounts. Owaspy is a primary source and says this is the history of the last 24,000 years. So it's not, scientists do not say that this is not historical, because everything that it says that happens in here can be historically proven, even these people. So So it's not saying what the Bible is saying. The Bible has themes in it that sound familiar. Remember, the information out of Owaspy is thousands of years older than a Bible.
I'll say this. I'll say this. I am not convinced that the Bible stories are history and that Owaspy is history.
I'm not convinced that the Bible stories are history either. You dig what I'm talking about? Just like the science. It's like, but look, but because I've studied them and was able to prove that they're not historical. But when I study Owaspy, I have been able to prove what it's saying historically.
Although they do have one story about Hezekiah that has been proven to be a historical story.
Man, they got stuff that's in the Bible that's historical. I'm just saying it's not seen as a historical document.
Yeah, okay, we agree on that.
Okay, right. We agree with that. But that's not what Owaspy is saying. Quit trying to put them in the same. They're not the same thing.
Well, listen, we're speaking, and I'm giving you my view of how I see it based on what you just showed me. And
right, but you ain't even listen. You ain't even really listen. You've been pushing back the whole time about something you don't know nothing about.
Once again,
that's fair. That's fair. You're arguing from a point of ignorance at this point. Let's be fair.
And you know what? I did say that. I said that out of my own mouth. So I can't disagree with you on that because I said that.
Now look, this is the book of the First Lords. It's saying that the early man on earth, right? Whether you notice now, we got a timetable of prophecy, right? Remember in almost all religious texts, but especially in the Bible where he said, I created the sun and the moon so you can tell times, weeks, seasons, days, months, and you can figure out your holy days. Remember that?
I can't say I specifically recall that scripture. So,
it's in the first chapter of Genesis. This is in Genesis 1, where God made the sun and the moon on the fourth day, right? Okay. And so he says he made the sun and the moon so you can learn to tell time. Well, the only book that teaches that system is Owaspy.
But let me ask let me ask some more questions since we're on the biblical story.
Okay.
How could you have 3 days with no sun and no moon?
Well, you can have way more than that. That's easy.
With no sun and no moon?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, you can have particulates in the sky that block the sun out.
That would work if we weren't talking about creation, because what they're saying is that they had 3 days where God did not create a sun or a moon.
Oh, you talking about where he said, let there be light, but then didn't create the sun and moon. Well, yeah, that's because the biblical narrative is incorrect, and it's a purposely told lie, right? That does not align with reality.
And once again, I have not seen anything that you showed me in Owaspy that makes me think Owaspy is any different in my view than the Bible.
We'll sit back. We'll just sit back and listen and learn. Watch this, right? Because now you learn that the so-called people that you don't believe in, these pre-Adamites, what Owaspy reveals to us as the early hominids and hominins, we don't care if you understand that. They're real, right? He's saying those people only lasted on earth for 8,000 years. And in their 6,000th year, these angelic beings came down to earth, interbred with them. And from that point, we got modern thinking man on earth. This beastly man, this hominid group, lives an extra 2,000 years and then peters out and goes extinct. Right? And look, it says, and Asu disappeared off the face of the earth, right? And the ions, listen, were white and yellow. Remember, Asu is a Negro. He's black, right? It's copper colored, right? But look at his offspring.
So are you saying the Ayans were albinos?
No, I'm not saying that. I explained this before you probably came on, but we're not saying that they're albinos, but this is a representation to show that the genetics still does this today.
Yes.
Right. But listen, if albinism, right, or white skin, regulated white skin, right, is a recessive trait, you would agree with that?
Yes, but when we deal with albinism, there can be people of different phenotypes who have albinism.
Yeah, you can have what I'm trying to tell you is you're doubling down on my point. I agree with that. But guess what? Every single people group in the world produce an albino. How is that? How is a recessive trait worldwide through all people group, unless that recessive trait was at one time anciently a dominant trait?
Well, I'm going to reserve my opinion on that.
Okay.
I don't know the history. I don't know the actual.
Right. Because the world goes on to be repopulated by these Ayan people. Now, mind you, Ayans come in every color. This is a generality, but even the Negroidal stock produces not just blonde hair, white, right? The Ayans, look, were white and yellow, but the Druks were brown and black. Brown and black don't make you Negro. Being Negroidal doesn't even make you a nigga, right? Because even the ancient European is Negroidal, but look at his offskin today, his offspring, huh? The Ayans were small and slender, just like the man we showed, right? With white skin and white hair, but niggas. Again, like this is in Owaspy now, right? Right here, when it says right here, 624. See up at the top right here?
Yes, sir.
Right here, 624. Let's go down and look what it says in the notes. It says again, this is a generalization. See 624, where reference is made as above to white people. It does not mean what we today call white people, but white in fact with white hair also. Huh?
I'll say this. This all seems very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's scary. It's scary to scary people. The reason why you fear it is because you lack knowledge of it.
No, that's not what I said. I said interesting. I didn't say scared. I said it seems very.
Oh, I thought you said it was scary. My bad.
It seems.
But look,
I'll say this. It seems very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is.
And since it's 1:49 a.m. in the morning, what I'll do is this: the next time you come on, I'll come back on, and maybe we can talk about it further.
Yeah, you dig what I'm talking about? Check it out, man. Keep watching though. You dig what I'm talking about? I'll just get into the bill real quick. Look, thus, this is what it's saying on Owaspy. White skin here is not the color of what we call white in early Cosmine or the present time. We're in Cosmine right now in the 177th year, or what we know through the Gregorian calendar as 2025, right? But was called white skin here is not the color of what in present time is called the white race, being really a light or pale copper or beige. This is why, as we are visual people. This is why I'm showing the Negroidal people with pale skin, right? Because to produce an albino, you have the mother and father, where they can be both blue black. They both have to have the OCA2 receptor that produces light skin. When those two people breed together, those traits are the same. That is called recessive. That trait is expressed, but it has to be in the mother and father already. See what I'm saying? Where does that come from? If it is in every single people group in the world, that's because after a bottleneck genetic event, these people go on to repopulate the world. Some of them they come in every color, but generally they look like this. This is what they say in the oldest stock on earth generally looks like, but it also says they come in every color. And as you see, it's not only white hair, white skin, it's white skin with white hair still on a nigga.
All right, Cosmon, I'm gonna jump off, but next time you come on, we'll probably talk about this further. But as of now, I'm not convinced of what you're saying. And I'm in disagreement with what you're saying at this point in time.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would just say to that, you dig what I'm talking about? Your subject opinion doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm showing actual facts.
Okay. That's fair enough. That's fair enough, Cosmo. I'm cool with that.
My man. All right, Jose.
Brother.
Peace. Be safe out there.
Bye bye.
Yep. Now, it was seen that the white of the ions was in complexion more a moon white. Moreover, being half angel, they may have had more radiant or glowing skin tone and had a light in the eyes. Now, question, could this trait be misconceived as moon white today? Ask yourself. If it could, right, looking at the person that we looking at, if it's possible, right, that this phenotype could be mistaken as a moon white today. Now, mind you, this is a lady today. How does every person in the world produce an albino if it's a recessive trait? It had to be at one time be dominant. You dig what I'm talking about? That's why I ain't tripping on cuz. You dig what I'm talking about? I had to show him. Now look. So pale-skinned Negroes. Let that sink in for a second. It's a sink knocking at your porch, at your door right now. Go and let that thing in. Yes, pale-skinned Negroes. The ions were white and yellow. It's not far-fetched because it happens today. The ions were white and yellow. Pale-skinned Negroes. Let that sink in a second. The ions were white and yellow. Iron is the name given to the ancient mound builder stock, who are the foremothers of all people currently on the earth. But why did they build the mounds? And who taught them how to create the mounds? White and yellow. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Skin tone does not dictate ethnicity. From the first book of the first lords. You shall build what? Walls around your city, so that the beasts and serpents may not enter, and you do you harm. And if your habitation is in the wilderness, you shall build mounds of wood and earth to sleep on at night, so that serpents and beasts cannot molest you. So keep in mind the environment. This is more than 70,000 years ago. So imagine the megafauna and flora on the earth at the time. Also, there would have been dinosaurs still, right? Not the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it would have been some big ones. Let alone saber-toothed cats and cave bears and it had been all type of stuff that everything would have killed you. You dig what I'm saying? So this is why they saying they build mounds and walled cities. Listen. So the ancient walled cities, built around with wooden fences around them, or big ass 30-foot, 40-foot walls and all that stuff around the city. Now you know why you see them around certain ancient cities, especially those that are in like star forts, and those that are by the waters. Right? They got massive fortifications around them. Of what? Earth. You dig what I'm saying? So we got to keep in mind the environment. Walled cities and mounds are an ingenious way to combat this issue of dealing with predatory animals. Now the Ions inquired of the Lord, saying, if we build walls around our cities, how shall we get in and out? That makes sense. If I'm building a wall, how I'm going to get in, right? I don't want no doors that these animals can knock it down. You dig what I'm talking about? How are we going to get in? How shall we gather our harvest of fruit and nuts and seeds of the field? How shall we ascend the mounds that we build in the wilderness? Notice there are walled cities, not teepees and mud huts. And also, notice that they're vegetarians. They say, how we going to gather the harvest of the fruit and nuts and seeds of the field? And the Lord said, behold, my angel shall teach you to build ladders, first ladders on the earth. They 73,000 plus years old. Let that sink in. Taught them how to build ladders. Be a handy thing if you need to get over a wall if you had a ladder. Also would be a handy thing if you was just a short people. He taught them how to build ladders and how to use them. This is over 73,000 years ago, y'all. And when you go into the city at night, you shall take the ladders in after you. And when you come out in the morning, you shall let the ladders down again. Now, are we seeing the creation of the first tool created to help man? Let that sink in. Is this the very first tool? And notice that it's giving man a helping hand. It's lifting him up. That would make sense. Is this the very first tool? Just a question. We see that man that had that all the materials, he had tools with him. Obviously, he knew how to mine and meld and smelt iron and copper and whatever else he had on him. Right? He had a knife with him. No. And look, and God's angels taught the Ions, the chosen, those who choose the Creator, these things. And man provided the cities. Listen, cities 73,000 years ago. He provided the cities and the mounds with ladders. According to the commandment of God, these things were done. Right? And the Ions were white and yellow. White and yellow. Were the mound builders only confined to one continent on the earth? First book of the First Lords. And the ancient and the Ayans prospered and spread over the face of the earth. Hundreds of thousands of cities and mounds were built. Remember, in Oahspe, it writes a book of, an upper book and a lower book, or a book of the heavens and a book of the earth for a certain period of time. The first book of the first lords correlates with the very first arc cycle after the creation of man, or from roughly 73,000 to 70,000 BC. The first book of the first lords correlates to that time too. So 70,000 plus years ago, there were hundreds of thousands of cities and mounds. And the Ayans rejoiced in the glory of all created things. Neither did they kill any man, beast, fish, bird, or creeping thing that breathed the breath of life. The Ayans are white and yellow. Indeed, the Ayans are white and yellow. Now, this is, you dig what I'm talking about, a melanated person producing albino children, and the father is melanated also. But they had to have the genetics to produce blonde hair, blue eyes, and all this stuff already in them. Where does it come from? If they come from and descend from a line of melanated people. Well, even the melanated people, right? Even these Negroidal people, right? Anciently have genetics that can obviously do this. Or else their mother, this lady right here, wouldn't have been able to produce them. So obviously her ancestors carried this genetic. How? Because Ayans are white and yellow. You're the oldest people on the face of the earth. This is a black mother in Brazil with her 5 children, 3 of which are albino. The father is also quote unquote black also. The Ayans were white yellow. Question: if the mother and father of the above children are black, then what are the pale skinned children? Obviously, they're blacks also. But if you can readily admit, right, then logic demands that you must admit that whatever a black is, it has nothing to do with skin color. Correct? Hit me with a 1 in the chat. If you can admit, right, that this woman, the so-called black woman, right, who got 5 children with a black man, right? 2 of them are brown, just like she is, right? If you can admit that them albino children of hers are still black, then logic dictates you must admit that whatever black is, it ain't got nothing to do with skin color. Correct? Hit me with a 1 in the chat. Right? This is what the brothers like Jose gonna have to come to the realization of. Right? Whatever you think black is, right, it ain't got nothing to do with skin color. Because people come in this skin color and are still black. Whatever black is, it has nothing to do with skin color or hair texture. We must stop the lookership, the bias, the hate, the prejudging, and racism that my brother just showed. That's my dog. He all good. You know what I mean? But that's what he was showing. Lookership, bias, hate, and prejudging something he didn't know nothing about. Right? Huh? We must stop the lookership, the bias, the hate, the prejudging, and racism that you learn from your colonial masters and your gods. You must tap into a higher vibration. Even Owaspie admits that, right? First book of God. Keep in mind, though, that in these modern times of Cosmon, right, skin color alone is neither sufficient to determine lineage, nor is it determinative of spiritual grade. Also, in the first book of the First Lords, it says, but as to skin color today, right, it is neither sufficient nor necessary indicator of one's ancestry regarding these earliest of races. For everyone alive today has roots in both Ayin and Drux races as well as in Asu. Notice it didn't say everybody was an Ahuin of the copper color people. It is only the low vibratory nature, hate, bias, prejudice of the individual person that blocks a person from comprehending on this simple childlike level, with results trending towards a lack of knowledge and cognitive dissonance. Exactly what this brother showed me today. So if you can't get it, right? So if you can't get this simple thing that the reason why certain people who are brown can produce a pale person is because their ancestors, right, had that genetic also. If you can't get that, we understand why you can't. It's because you a drug. Right? You lean more towards that, more towards the I can't get it. Now, with this new genetic information on the Iron Mound Builder stock, let's look around the world objectively to see if we can find remnants of this ancient genetic phenotype, right? What about the Hamitic African, right? Which would be called Iron, right? Its African name would be called Twa. Hamitic African, right? Twa type, right? Hamitic African, right? Look, what about albino Arabs? Ions. They got that iron stock in them, right? It said every people currently on the earth has iron genetics. This is how they're able to produce albines. Everybody can do it. Albino Arabs, Remember, the ions are white and yellow. White skin, white hair also. An Arabian albino Arab. What about the Solomon Islanders, the Southeast Asian Ions? You see it? Sure look yellow to me. White and yellow. The ions were white and yellow. This is Caledonian Islanders with the iron genetic. Science has already proven that, first of all, we older than, the modern European, and that our genetic is way far older. But that we produced blonde hair independently and before the European even existed. How? Because people on the world already had the genes. The genes were expressed in some of the oldest people groups. Look, where y'all think they from? Y'all probably never guess. Where y'all think these people from? I ain't gonna show it. Where y'all think them from? Hit me in the chat real quick. I ain't gonna be long. Where y'all think they from? Look at them. What if I told you these are? What if I told you these are East Indians? Huh? Look. Look. This is the East Indian albino Ayans. Remember, the Ayans were white and yellow. Every people group in the world come from Ayans. How do you prove it? Phenotype. One of them is that blonde hair. Huh? This is Papuan Islander, Ayan genetic. This is a Caucasoidal European Ayan. Huh? There's another one. I would still say many of her features are Negroidal. There's another one. Caucasoidal European Ayan. The Ayans were white and yellow. This is an Asian. Asian albino. Right? Objectivity. Right? We can show it being produced in the people groups today. Right? And then, right? We can keep going. We can keep going. You dig what I'm saying? That's an American albino. That's an Indian right here. It's another Indian sister, an American albino. Now, the American stock of the Ayan genetic has been called various names over the years, i.e., mound builder, moon-eyed people, the Oeklopan, or people, spirit people of Pan, the Maya, the Duende, the Pugwaji, etc. But they called themselves the She. Were all the Ayans white and yellow? So ask this question. No. Remember, they're Negroes. Right? The Lord's fifth book. Watch what it right here in chapter 3 and 4 says the tribes of Ham were of all colors, black, white, yellow, copper, red, brown. Nevertheless, they were Ayans, having flat nails, short arms, and desiring to acquire knowledge. Now, does the blonde genetic source from Caucasoidal Europeans? Hold on, let me show. Am I still showing that? Make sure I'm still showing that. Okay. Right? Does the blonde genetics source from Caucasoidal Europeans? Right? Here we go. Right? Does it? Remember, the Ayans were white and yellow. This is from Nature magazine. The golden locks of dark-skinned Melanesians have different genetic basis to those of the Europeans. The what? The golden locks, the hair of dark-skinned Melanesians have different genetic basis to those of Europeans. How he got that is something different than how white folks got their blonde hair. Let that sink in. Right, it's this. Right? That's from Nature magazine. Right? Now, does evolution have a soft spot for blondes? About 5 to 10% of the people from Melanesia, a group of islands northeast of Australia, have naturally blonde hair, the highest prevalence outside of Europe. Yet people from the region have the darkest skin pigmentation outside of Africa. Huh? Now, a study of the people of the Solomon Islands in Melanesia shows that they evolved the striking blonde trait independently of those of Europe. This refutes the possibility that blonde hair was introduced by colonial Europeans. So where did it come from? Huh? Even the scientists had to say, Carlos Bustamante had to say that blonde hair, huh, has clearly evolved twice. Huh? Now, in the Americas, these white and yellow people, right, are called mound builders, the Lord's first book. And I said to the guardian angel whom I had given the man, in the lands where I will take my people, let them build mounds and walled cities with ladders to enter like the ancients. In all the divisions of the earth, they shall build alike. For in the time of Cosmon, their relic shall be testimony that the iron foreran the Ahuan, the copper-colored people, huh, all over the world. So let's go look this up. Let's see. Hold on, let's stop this. We'll stop. Let's go see if they got any ancient walled cities in the Americas. Let's just look it up real quick. Show me ancient walled cities in America. Phew. Look at Chaco. Hold on. Let me share this real quick. Chaco. They're calling them medieval. Great walled cities. Watch this. Ancient Earth. Look, all in America. All in America. Huh? I ain't making up none of this, y'all. Not only did Cahokia a walled city, huh? Right? We got Cahokia, huh? All right. This is Chaco Canyon, huh? Called Pueblo Bonito, or the Pretty House. You dig what I'm talking about? Say it housed over 1,200 people. The city is in the shape of a huge D with round back to the canyon wall. This is Chaco Canyon, another great walled city in the Americas. There it go right there. That's the remnants of Chaco. How do you wear this down? How do you melt that? Right? It's only the remnants. This is just what's left up. So obviously, whatever happened from top down to where just the bottom is left. Let that sink in. Now, why do we, when we look in America, we see all these people or these cities with these massive walls around them, right? All of them melted and blown to bits and smithereens. And you dig what I'm talking about? Every one of them. You dig what I'm saying? Let me blow this up real quick. What is wrong with my? Hold on. All right. There we go. Right? For today, in the time of Cosmon, that's going to be testimony, right? That these massive cities with these walled cities and these ancient mounds and all this stuff, that in the Americas, the mound builders even predate the copper-colored people. Right? They that old. Y'all know we old as dirt. There's a people who older, right? And we the descendants of them, right? They do call you aboriginal, right? That means your descent from the original. Now, the iron mound builder, iron equals mound builder, Ahun equals the megalithic builder. So the creator is claiming, right, that the mound builders of America, iron, were primarily a pale-skinned Negroidal race. Is he saying that? Yes. At least 50% of them. That's a generalization. Huh? But it's not even about pale skin, because we see that they didn't have pale skin, but they had the blonde hair. Huh? But yes, but let's let the Cherokees confirm what the creator is explaining about this pale skin, blonde, pale skin, pale haired people. Right? Watch this. Right? This is from DeSoto's journals, right? It's saying that the moon-eyed Negroes, talking about in America, the moon-eyed Negroes. Who are the moon-eyed Negroes? And the who? The albinos were destroyed by the Cherokees. And they were also seen in Panama, where the duendes and all them is. Huh? I'm not making none of this up. I'm not making none of it up. Right? The source of this book that is talking about the albinos and the moon-eyed Negroes being destroyed by the Cherokees, which Cherokees did say they destroyed the people who used to live in the mounds. This is out of the Atlantic Journal and Friend of Knowledge by C.S. Raffinesque. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all can go ahead and Google that. You dig what I'm talking about? What about the unknown and carved in stone, the murky mystery of the moon-eyed people, right? These Cherokee people, right? Let's just see what they say. The Cherokee people, right? Cherokee people have a vibrant culture that is filled with deeply cherished myths, legends, and histories of the people and their ancestral homes of the mountains of southern Appalachia. According to the Cherokee, the Smoky Mountains were formed by a giant buzzard after the giant flood. The exhausted bird fell to the earth and the mountains erupted up from where the massive wings impacted the ground. In the years since the creation of the mountains, the Cherokee interacted with many spirits, many creatures, and according to their oral tradition, a civilization of people that was there before them with extremely pale white skin, fine hair, and eyes that were so sensitive to the sun that they spent daylight hours living underground. Huh. Funny, that's where they found them people. The first written account of these people comes from European botanist Benjamin Smith Burton, sometimes written as Barton, who wrote in 1797 that he learned about these people from the first-hand account of Colonel Leonard Marbury, an intermediary between the American government and the Cherokee tribe. Burton writes that the Cherokee tell us that when they first arrived in the country which they inhabit, they found it possessed by a certain moon-eyed people who could not see in the daytime. Funny, albinos have difficulty seeing in the daylight. I'm not saying that the people are albino. No, I'm not saying. I'm showing that how the genetic can and is even today easily produced and represented in the genetic people stocks that are currently on the planet. Right? Now, while the Cherokees in war, right, would have played a part in the destruction of the mound builder people, is that what really drove the mound builder stock to extinction? Or did the environment play a part? Book of Esdras, right? The time is now at hand when the Ions, the sacred people, the mound builders, will cease to dwell on earth. The darkness, which is necessary to the earth. He asked me, how does, the sun block out the sky for 3 days? You dig what I'm talking about? Well, this is how it's done. Right? There is darkness that is necessary to the earth, just like light is necessary to the earth. I'm telling you, we just thought a higher pay grade. The darkness, which is necessary to the earth, will be too much for them. The heaven that has previously received their spirit shall be dissolved, and these plateaus removed to the outer rim of the earth vortex. It didn't say they were destroyed. It said they were moved. Well, if the Ions are extinct, why would they need a... Notice it didn't say they were extinct. It said they ceased to dwell on the face of the earth. It didn't say they didn't dwell under the earth. It also doesn't say they didn't dwell in the air. It also doesn't say they couldn't have dwelled under the water. It just said they ceased to dwell on the earth. But that's not even a big stretch because we know they lived in the earth. The darkness which is necessary to the earth will be too much for them. The heavens that has previously received their spirit shall be dissolved, and the plateaus removed to the outer rim of the earth vortex. The Lord reports showed there were at this time of the earth 2,300,000 Ions. Of these, 700,000 inhabited Egypt and Western Arabia or Africa. 200,000 inhabited China, the Japheth of the ancients, and the balance, for the most part, inhabited North America or Northern Gautama, toward Hanyapan or Northern America. Right? Inhabited North America and toward Hanyapan, which is Central America. North Gautama is where we at today, North America. Hanyapan is Central America. All Gautama, though. 1.4 million ions. But what is this darkness that brought the ion to extinction? Have you ever heard of Eskra? Eskara or Eskra means spiritual death from above. They always be talking about mud floods and plasma events, but this is what it really is, right? In the 390th or 1163 BC, excuse me, of the cycle of Bond, the roadways of Earth's heavens were completed, and this was the standing of Earth's heaven at that time. God foresaw the travel of the earth would cause her to pass through an Aegean forest for 400 years, right? And that darkness would be upon the lower heavens, right? So we find that this darkness is called Aja. What is Aja, right? And do we see this event happening, right? Roughly 1150 BC. Yes, it's called the Bronze Age collapse. Don't nobody know what did it. But all the greats that you hear about before the Bronze Age collapse don't make it through it except really Egypt. But even Egypt collapsed for a while. They don't tell you that part. So what is this stuff called Aja, right? That can darken out the sky. Aja is semi-darkness or a dense region in ethereal or space which sometimes descends to the earth. It is lesser than the nebula of like a comet, right? But more like a particulate, right? More like an aerosol. Think like thick smog, right? So what is Eskra? Eskra is dense atmospheric substance from space being precipitated to the earth, gaining electric, magnetic, kinetic potential energy as it pushes against the atmospheric air molecules. Think a spacecraft heating up upon re-entry. Imagine hot and molten magma, a football field deep, being irradiated by the Van Allen belt and pushed through the atmosphere. Huh? Source, studyofowaspi.com, right? In the original panic, Iron Man had been extinct for over 3,000 years. The Ions as a race became extinct upon the earth about 3000 BK, right? Right around 1100, 1150. Huh? This is from Wing Anderson in the 7 Years That Changed the World. Owaspi's Lord's 5th book, chapter 5. Here follows what became of the Ions, namely those that came to America, survived 21,000 years and became extinct. Those that came to Japheth survived 21,000 years and then became extinct. Those that went to Shem or India and Persia, all the way down to Southeast Asia, survived 12,000 years and then became extinct by amalgamation or mixing. Those that went to Ham, Africa, survived 21,000 years and then became extinct by amalgamation. Those of America attained to 1,000. Listen, the people in America attained to 1,000 large cities. It's after the flood. 1,000 large cities and 3,000 small ones. Sound like today. Being more than 4 million souls. And they never had a king or a queen or other ruler except the Lord who administered through them through the city fathers. And they retained their sacred name of Gautama to the last of them. But the Ahuans, the copper-colored people, us, called them Oeklopan, signifying people of another world or continent. Now, regarding the tribes that went into the two ships to the north, Japan, after 3,000 years, no man could draw the line between them and the Ahuans. We see that in the Adam and Eve, right? for they mingled with them and were lost as ions. Nevertheless, they redeemed the barbarians to wisdom and peace. So major key to understanding extra is the extinction of the iron mound builder stock is that it is not only a worldwide event, but it happened at a specific time, which is now called Eskra. So first, let's explain what Eskra is totally. Eskra is an 1800-year event that takes place during a 3400-year period of time called the 24th arc cycle, or the arc cycle of Bond. From 1553 BC to 1848 AD, right? That's 3,400 years. Now, during 1800-year period, there is a 400-year period of time in the beginning of falling material onto the planet. But it's not just that, right? Because this falling material goes on to create an electric plasmic event, a plasma event. Imagine plasma hotter 2 times than magma, 2-3 times hot as magma, falling down to the ground like rain. So just like a rain would fall, you would see these glowing balls of energy, literally hot as the sun, falling down onto the planet, along with a trailing thunderbolt, right? So the thunderbolt is striking. It's heating the atmosphere, or the material in the atmosphere. That atmosphere, the material in the atmosphere gets superheated and supercharged and kicks out an electron, becoming plasmic. So it would be, so imagine falling from the Van Allen belt, right? From the meteoric region in upper space, gaining all that kinetic energy, irradiated, right? But then sparked by lightning. This is how they melt them great mountains. This is how them great cities is melted from above. Only the remnants of the bottoms left, just like in Chaco Canyon. And this historically is known and can be proved as the Bronze Age collapse. One thing we know about all the cities like Harappa, like Troy, all these cities were super pumping, big, super massive things. The Bronze Age collapse hit, they disappear. They come when they find them in the 1900s, they're buried under feet and feet and feet, massive amounts of feet of material. But more importantly, they're all burned to a crisp. Every one of them, like a bomb dropped on them. Well, so if you can imagine electricity falling to the earth like rain, attached with a plasmic event, carrying material all the way down to the earth with a thunder strike attached to it, going in waves like rain. That's Eskra. I'm theorizing also that it's not even a theory no more. I'm telling them this is the event that melted the great Laurentine ice sheets during Younger Dryas. This is what created Meltwater Pulse B1. What else could melt 4 miles of ice so quick that you could cause a flood? How do you melt it that fast? Well, if you have falling plasma along with raining thunder strikes, just like rain, but imagine every rain being a thunderstrike. And just like, the water go back and forth, it would be doing that too. Just like a storm. All you have to do is kick off one. And then imagine this. This is happening for 400 years. This ain't just like one event is just happening and that's it. No, this is happening over and over and over again. Right? Now, during this time of Esra, you dig what I'm talking about? It is wiping things out. How else, think about this, how else do you bury a pyramid in a desert with no water? Ain't enough water in the Nile to bury the pyramid. How you bury it in the sand then? Where the sand come from? Now, during this 1800-year period, there is a 400-year period time of falling material onto the planet. Then there's roughly 1,000-year intermediate period. And then there is another 400-year period of atmospheric pressure and density being applied to the planet. This is the timetable of prophecy. And right here is the time we will be talking about from 24th arc cycle from 1553 BC to 1848, a 3,400-year span of time. The arc cycle is called Bond, right? See that right here, Bond, right? 400 years, and to this time, 1153 BC, right? We got the Bronze Age collapse started. Till we see who come up out of the Bronze Age? Europe. Very first writings and everything, done by Europeans, done by Homer. When? 700. After this 400-year period, because it's a dark age. The European dark ages, same time as the Bronze Age collapse. Coincidence? I think not. Right? It's an 800-year span of time, y'all. You got 400 from 1153 BC to 753 BC, and you got another 400 that started at 1053 BC and ended at 1048 BC and ended at 1448 AD. It started, 1048 AD to 1448 AD. There was this same type of event going on, except this time it was in the Americas. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is how you make a Death Valley. Huh? This is how you wipe out the Nazca lines. You dig what I'm talking about? The Nazca lines used to extend in the air. We're just watching the outline drawing of what it actually was. This is how the great geoglyphs in America get worn down to nubs. Huh? This is what creates also the inner sea highway that was east of the Rockies that went through the Americas. Did y'all know we had an inland sea? Ran all the way through Canada, connected the Pacific, all the way into the Caribbean, and even parts of Brazil was all underwater. Just is what it is. We had an inland sea in the Americas. Look at it. All right. Now, this is a time chart, right? And you see right here at around 1100, 1150 BC, we are going into Escra. What actually takes off? What happens? You have the so-called Greek Dark Ages. The world goes dark. Now, during this same time is your Bronze Age collapse. Massive civilizations get moved, like the Etruscans. Even their cities get burnt, but they pop up again in Spain. When we know the Etruscans founded Italy. Why'd they move? The Bronze Age collapse. But that's because of the events that were happening in the sky. Escra. This is also how you bury a pyramid. Also how you make a fossil. So in 3000 to 2848 before Cosmos, falling nebulous material, right? Falling Agile, which caused the destruction of the races of Ions and the mound builders of America, right? Oahspe reveals that this atmospheric density began in the 400th year of the Archibald and would last for 400 years, or between 1153 and 753, right? Right here, right? That gives us your Greek Dark Ages. That's a 400-year span of time, right? Right. Oahspe reveals that this atmospheric density began in the 400th year of the Archibald and would last for 400 years, in between 1153 BC and 753 BC. Question, right? Is there an event, right? Let me ask you all this question. Is there an event we can look back into history on and see a massive worldwide event that would have totally destroyed cultures and civilizations and utterly buried cities, and yet no one can know the cause of this event? If we look back historically, can we see an event like that around this time? Yes, there is an event. It's called the Late Bronze Age Collapse. The Late Bronze Age Collapse was a time of widespread societal collapse during the 12th century BC, associated with environmental change, mass migration, the destruction of cities. The collapse affected a large area of the eastern Mediterranean, North Africa, Southeast Europe, and the Near East, in particular Egypt, Eastern Libya, the Balkans, the Aegean, Anatolia, and to a lesser degree, the Caucasus. It was sudden, violent, and culturally disruptive for many Bronze Age civilizations, and it brought a sharp economic decline to regional powers, notably ushering in the Greek Dark Ages. Now, remember, Oahspe is already telling y'all this is happening in between 1153 to 753. Watch this. The palace economy of Mycenaean Greece, the Aegean region, and Anatolia that characterized the Late Bronze Age disintegrated, transforming into small, isolated village cultures of the Greek Dark Ages, which lasted from around 1100 to the better known archaic age of around 750 BC. The Hittite Empire of Anatolia and Levant collapsed, with states such as the Middle Assyrian Empire in Mesopotamia, The new kingdom of Egypt survived in weakened forms. Other cultures, such as the Phoenicians, enjoyed increased autonomy and power with the waning military presence of Egypt and Assyria in Western Asia. The half century between 1200 and 1150 BC saw the cultural collapse of the Mycenaean kingdoms, the Kassites in Babylonia, the Hittite Empire in Anatolia, the Levant, and the new kingdom of Egypt. Every one of them was buried and burned at the same time. This is where you get your stories of sea people attacking and all this stuff. You dig what I'm talking about? What was the sea people running from? Why was they bringing their wives and everything with them? They wasn't planning on leaving. Huh? These sea people would have probably been your Etruscans. Huh? Running from what's going on in Europe. Huh? Because every one of these places got wiped out, as well as the destruction in Ugarit and the Amorite states in the Levant, the fragmentation of the Luwian states. I think your Luwians, first of all, they're admixed Hittites now, but you know Tites now, but your Luwians are your Hyksos. They come straight up out of Egypt. This is why they got a beef, and they side with the Hittites, and it's on. The Luwians, right? My history and study shows are the ancient Hyksos, your Hyksos stocks. When they were banished out of Egypt, they ran up into Anatolia, up in Turkey, becoming the Luwian. All right, that's why they got that language that don't nobody up there speak. Not even they people that they mix with, the Hittites. Right? And it's more like Egyptian script, almost like early Demotic. Right? But the fragmentation of the Luwian states in Western Anatolia and the period of chaos in Canaan, the deterioration of these governments, interrupted trade routes, led to severely reduced literacy in much of this area. Only powerful states survived the Bronze Age collapse, particularly Assyria, albeit temporarily weakened. The new kingdom of Egypt also weakened. The Phoenician city-states in Elam. Even among these comparative survivors, success was mixed. By the end of the 12th century, Elam waned after its defeat by Nebuchadnezzar I, who briefly revived Babylonian fortunes before suffering a series of defeats by the Assyrians. After the death of Ashur-bel-kala in 1056 BC, still during the Bronze Age collapse, y'all, we're only 100 years into it, Assyria declined for a century. Its empire shrank significantly by 1020, apparently leaving it in control of only the areas in its immediate vicinity, although its heartland remained well defended. By the time of Wenamun, Phoenicia had regained independence from Egypt. Let's get into this city destruction. Initially, historians believed that the first phase of this period, almost every city between Pylos and Gaza was violently destroyed, and many were abandoned, including Hattusa, Mycenae, and Ugarit, with Robert Drews claiming that within a period of 40 to 50 years, at the end of the 13th and the beginning of the 12th century, almost every significant city in the Eastern Mediterranean world was destroyed. Many of them never to be occupied again, even Troy. Right? Well, right. However, Recent research has shown that Druze overestimated the number of cities that were destroyed and referenced destructions that never happened, according to Milik. If one goes through the archaeological literature from the past 150 years, there are 148 sites with 153 destruction events ascribed to the end of the late Bronze Age, circa 1200 BC. However, of these, 94 or 61% have either been misdated, assumed based on little evidence, or simply never happened at all. For Drew's map and his subsequent discussion of some other sites which he believed were destroyed circa 1200 BC, of the 60 destructions, 31 or 52% are false destructions. The complete list of false destructions includes other notable sites such as Lefkandi, Orchomenos, Athens, Knossos, Lhasa, Carchemish, Aleppo, Alaka, Hama, a bunch of other places. Now, is this key towards proving the time of Escra, right? That less destruction in 1200 BC, and then there is just 50 years later in 1150 BC, the majority of the 29 cities that were able to rebound after 1200 BC went out of existence within the next 200 years. We still in Escra. Even if you go to 950, 200 years. Even if you go to 1050, then go another 200 years, you still in it. The majority of the 29 major cities that were able to rebound after 1200 BC, right, went out of existence within the next 200 years. Those that were able to bounce back, they didn't reappear till after 750 BC and the end of Escra. Now, Ann Killebrew has shown that cities such as Jerusalem were large and important walled settlements. Remember, we told you who built the walled settlement in the pre-Israelite Middle Bronze II era and the Israelite Iron Age 2C period, 1800 to 1550, and 720 to 586 BC. But that during the intervening late Bronze Age and Iron Age ages, sites like Jerusalem, they were small and relatively insignificant and unfortified towns. Again, proving the historical nature of the claim being made within Jerusalem being a major city prior to 1550 BC. And then again after 720 BC, leaving a period of roughly 800 years. With the knowledge we have now that no Escra fell in the first 400 years from 1553 to 1153 BC, right? That gives us the perfect timeline of 1153 BC through 1553 BC, correlating perfectly with the Bronze Age collapse and correlating perfectly with the fall of atmospheric material on Earth, now known as Escra. But I ain't gonna keep y'all on, man. What up, though? What up, though? Creator is undefeated, indeed. Oh man, I thought y'all could see what I was showing. Well, I think y'all could. This is what's called. Let me stop sharing this. Right, and then I'll go back to this. Hold on. I just want to show that I'm not making up none of this. Right? Creator said these people are here. It sound fantastical, sound made up, all that. It do. You dig what I'm talking about? But now we're actually finding them, right? The one thing that many people have a knock on the Bible is that they can't find any of these bodies of these people. Well, Creator is taking you on a time all the way back to 70,000 to up to 3,000 roughly years ago that these people existed on the earth. And now we find in the bodies of a people we didn't even know. In fact, but it's telling you it's there. And when you look in the ground, you find it. Right? Watch this. I just want to show once again that they find in these blonde people
controversial artifacts present within the ancient.
Look, I ain't making up none of that. Look at that little itty bitty head. How he so little? How he got blonde hair, but he still negroidal? Huh? Why was he found in the ground? Huh? Why was he found with highly advanced tools? Huh? Where are the descendants of these people today? That's why I showed it, Jose. Because Owaski makes some crazy ass claims. But then we fuck around and look, we mess around and look around, and science has already proven what Owaski has said. They just call it something else. You would have known nothing about the Chinabad man in Iran. You dig what I'm talking about? Or the walled cities of the Americas, like Chaco Canyon and Montezuma's Castle and all these places, man. Sacsayhuaman, and you dig what I'm talking about? All these places got walled cities, Corral Supe, megalithic structures, and walled cities. Come on, man. You dig what I'm saying? But you know, I ain't got no problem. You dig what I'm talking about? You don't want none. I ain't got none, and you don't want none. So you dig what I'm talking about? Just take the, you know, the advice, listen to the information, hear it, and then just take it with a grain of salt. But you know, before you come up here espousing your opinion, but I don't believe, we don't care about your belief. Can you disprove it? What I'm saying, right? Like I told you, we work objectively on what can be proven, not what a nigga feel. Your feelings are many times wrong. And your subjectivity and your opinion only are real in your mind. Right? It matters to no one, especially not nature. Huh? We don't give a damn what you talk about because it don't matter. You know? Well, you dig what I'm saying? I'm going to go and get up out of here, man. Ain't nobody want to hit the link, come in and nothing. You dig what I'm talking about? Chop it up with your boy. I'll drop it one more time. Anybody want to come in, man? Come on in, man. Hit the link, kick it with your boy, man. Shout out to my big sis coming through. Tigva, Scoring Black Man, Fritz Foxwell. Huh? It's like Down syndrome, sort of like that. Yeah, it's a recessive trait. You dig what I'm talking about? Yeah. Yeah. Historical. It's objective. You can't argue about it. Even if you don't know about it, you can't argue it. Why? Because it's objective. It's like the sun. Right? It's like the sun. Even if you didn't know what it was, you couldn't deny it was there because it's objective. You dig what I'm saying? So, like I said, the only thing that he was lacking was the knowledge, and that was producing a fear and a subjective point of view that is not based in reality, nigga. What you believe ain't real. Huh? Niggas believe in Jeebus. Come on, man. Yeah. To my Hebrew brothers, we understand about Yeshua, but that's different. Yeshua and Jeebus ain't the same nigga neither. So stop front. If you ain't got there yet, don't even come up here talking to Cosmon. I'll beat you up. Right? Not even the same person. One is real and one is a literary invention. I would go that far and say, and I'll debate anybody on that topic, that there was a real Yeshua that had real brothers, and there is a Jesus of the text who is a literary invention and is the physical representation of a quote unquote God, which would make the God an idol and hence false. Didn't he birth himself within a woman? A question came up. Shout out to Kev Capone. Did God ask Mary, did she want to have sex? Get impregnated? Did he rape her? Did she even know? Think about it. Did she know? It seemed like neither her nor Joseph knew that they was going to have a baby. Why? Because they wasn't having sex. This is how Joseph knew it wasn't his baby. The angel had to come and tell Joseph, like, look, chill out, cuz, you know what I mean? I hit your broad. You dig what I'm saying? She got knocked up. But you got to think about it. She is convinced in her mind she didn't have sex with nobody. Obviously, she did. So how can you have sex with somebody unwittingly, unknowingly? That means you overtook their body. You possessed them. Right? And did you plant the seed? You said you did. So you gave birth to your physical representation. And then if you saying you this God or the creator of all things, well, Joseph would have been your son and Mary would have been your daughter. So you untacitly impregnated your own daughter and birthed yourself as an idol, a physical representation of yourself. Characteristics of a false God. It's easy to tell when you know what you're looking for. Huh? It's easy to tell. Yeah. You dig what I'm talking about? But I'm gonna go and get up out of here, man. I ain't gonna browbeat y'all to death. I think I done proved my point. Philosophy, the only book in the world, tell you that these niggas was white and yellow, and that we ain't talking about what we call today white people. They still, many of them was Negroidal in America, had this blonde hair. Negroidal in Africa with blonde hair. Blonde hair is a Negroidal feature and characteristic and phenotype. Get over it. Straight hair is a Negroidal. Blue eyes is a Negro. There is no phenotype in the world that is not quote unquote Negroidal, especially since Negroidal is a invented, debunked, defunct, socially racist, invented class of people. There are no Negroes. In fact, you dig what I'm talking about? Because if blonde hair and blue eyes are considered Negro phenotypes, well, then what phenotype isn't Negroidal? Right? Going by the made up, invented term Negro. Right? Why would you even go by that? It don't even make no sense. But with that, man, I'm gonna go and get up out of here, man. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm keep telling Jose I'm swift with it. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm swift with it. I'm swift on my toes. Everywhere he was going, I was already there. Hitting that boy with that. Everywhere he went. You dig what I'm talking about? But hold on. Look at this. What's that down there, Jose? Hit that boy. What's down that long, dark corridor, Jones? Ooh, let me go see, boss. Get your ass duking messing with Jaja boy. You dig what I'm talking about? Hey, we sharp over here. You dig what I'm talking about? We sharp over here, and we actually know what we talking about. I didn't have to do nothing. I could have came off the top of the dome with what I was saying, but it's better that in a conversation where many people are coming into this new information that while I'm teaching you, I teach everybody. That makes sense, right? If you got the opportunity on my own channel, you know, teach somebody. Dig what I'm talking about? Build with them instead of trying to destroy them and break them down. This is what they not. This is what they always looking for, the difference. I'm looking for the commonality. Because in the oneness, you find the creator, man. And with that, man, hey, look, y'all breathe in. Let that light in. Because I'm Cosmo, I write it. I'll be hitting niggas. You dig what I'm saying? Hey, but look, man, we out of here, man. Y'all breathe in, let that light in. I'm Cosmo, man. I'm out.
Shout out to Cosmon Cow. Cosmon Cow, boy, I'm going to tell you something. He is a problem. He is a problem when it comes to these Hebrew Israelites. Y'all better stop playing. He is a problem. Cosmon Cow is a problem. Creator gang gang.
Yeah, the gang coming. Creator gang coming. Turning up the light and watching boys start running. Let me tell you something, we ain't out here doing nothing. I can tell you scared, boy, niggas stop fronting. It was all in the plan.
Creator gang is crazy. Boy, y'all better pay attention.
We fight as a single, impenetrable unit. That is the source of our strength.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feel it when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh, it's that Japheth, that Chow Mein, that Papabul, that Tao Mein, since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao Sang, so ass above, it's so below. That up and that down thing, this flow is atmospheric. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing current? See the pattern is ponic, I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the equals. And when the force hits the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing Puerto. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sela. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. And the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar. Oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, Waspy flow is so potent, set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you making salat. Well, I'm an Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.
Manual, step-by-step booklet for you to get your game on track, not your wig pushed back. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game on track, not your wig pushed back. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game on track, not your wig pushed back. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game on track, not your wig pushed back.